Athletes, welcome back to another great day of fitness. We've got sit-ups for you, we've got jumping for you, we've got all the fitness with Frank, with David. Let's get ready, your warm-up is coming up next. Athletes, our warm-up is starting now. You've got 10 seconds. We're gonna go ahead and make our way to the floor because we're gonna start out with a variation of the sit-ups that we have going. I've got David starting with sit-ups on the floor. Now David is gonna be doing regular sit-ups on an ab mat, touching the ground behind his head and then sitting up, touching his toes. I've got Frank working on modified sit-ups. So for Frank's version of this, what we're gonna be doing is that we're picking a mark on his legs that he's gonna slide those hands up to. Now, there's no chicken necking today, so if you feel like you're pushing your head forward when we do these modified sit-ups, your neck flexors will be extremely sore tomorrow. So what Frank is doing is that he sits back, he touches his head to the ground each rep, and then he sits back up, focusing on bringing shoulders off the floor. If he's trying to change his gaze and look forward towards David for intimidation factor, that is where his neck flexors are gonna fire up, and we are not looking at doing that. Head stays neutral, we're looking at the ceiling the entire time, and I'm gonna go ahead and have both athletes relax, and we're gonna go ahead and stand up. The next movement that we would have in this workout is gonna be our X jump, no jump, or our dumbbell snatch, but to warm up our posterior chain for this, hands go on our legs. We are gonna slide down our legs until we start to feel that back round out, and then we're gonna stand. The purpose of this is you're gonna feel your hamstrings start to wake up, so we're getting you warmed up in preparation for either taking that dumbbell from the floor or going into those X jumps where we're making contact with the floor, alternating on those hands. I'm gonna have athletes speed this up just a little bit for me. We're gonna start to wake up that intensity because we're gonna have to bring it for the 2 sets of this workout that we have. We're gonna do 2 more reps each, and then we are going to move on to our heel toe rocks. So for our heel toe rocks, we're gonna be up onto our toes and then back onto our heels. The purpose of this is gonna be to warm up our calves and our ankles, because whether you're stepping up or whether you're box jumping today, we wanna make sure that you're adequately prepared for what we've got coming your way. So I'm gonna have athletes cycle through 4 to 5 more reps here, focusing on pulling those toes up as high as we can and then getting those toes as high as we can and then getting onto our toes and getting those heels off the floor. We're gonna go ahead and relax now, and now we're moving back to our boxes. So Frank is gonna be doing step-ups in today's workout. David is doing box jumps, but I'm gonna have both of them go ahead and give me step-ups right now. And we're gonna cycle through about 20 seconds of this, just making sure that we feel comfortable with the height. What we're gonna do is, for David, since he's doing jumping, I just want him to get a few reps of box jumps in at this height. So he's gonna go ahead and jump for us. And David does a fantastic job of throwing those hands into the jump, and then he's landing softly. You don't wanna slam down on the box with your feet, only because that is gonna apply a lot of force to your lower body, and we wanna make sure we're being efficient with this. What I'm gonna do now is that Frank is gonna continue with the step-ups, but David is gonna move his box to his tall height. Now, for your step-ups or your box jumps, you guys can pick a challenging height for you, so that this is gonna be something that you're not scared of the height, but we're having to think about that rep a little bit before we go into it. So David's gonna give us a perfect 30-inch box jump right now, like a cat. That was beautiful. We're gonna go one more, and go ahead, come down and relax. Now the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come back to the floor in the center. David's gonna move to his dumbbell, and then I'm gonna have Frank working on his X jumps with no jump. So here, David's gonna go ahead and begin dumbbell snatches, practicing the alternating style of in that air about eye level, and Frank can start these X jumps, no jump, so touching that floor. Now remember, on our X jump, we are sending those hips back to get the same feeling that we had when we did those legs, or our hands down our legs. We want to load the posterior chain here, and we've got David doing a fantastic job transitioning. If it is too difficult to transition in the air, we transition on the ground. So we're going to switch, take it up, take it all the way to the ground, right now, and then switch. So you choose the skill level you want there. I'm going to have athletes rest in 3, 2, 1. That is it. We are ready for the workout. The fitness is coming your way. So turn your cell phone on silent, take care of the dog, take care of the cat, give the kids their iPads if that's what you're gonna do, so that you can get your fitness in right now. We got it next. The workout is headed your way. Athletes, the workout is here. We've got 10 seconds on the clock. We're gonna go ahead and make our way to where we're doing our sit-ups. You've got 5 seconds. And 3, 2, 1, go. We are starting out this 2-set workout with a 2-minute rest in between with 60 sit-ups. Now, we've got David working on sit-ups on an ab mat. Range of motion here is touching the ground behind our head and then sitting up, touching our feet with our shoulders going past our hip crease. So I don't want to see you guys pulling those feet super close to your body to try to cheat the standard there. We have to sit all the way up. We've got Frank doing our modified sit-ups. Now again, we cautioned you on this. It's very easy to overstress your neck flexors on this movement by pushing your head forward. So I've got Frank keeping his head neutral. He's working on bringing those shoulders from the floor, and he's using his hands to find a landmark on his legs. So in the case of Frank, we're going right to that kneecap and then back down. You've got 60 reps total to go through this, so pace yourself here. I don't want to ruin the end of the movie, but we have 120 reps of this, so you need to pace yourself in a way that we're focused on breathing when we sit up, get your breath when you go back, and then continue that breathing cycle of trying to breathe each rep so that you can pace this out properly. When athletes finish with this core movement, we're going to be moving into our X jump, no jump, or our dumbbell snatch. With that, your core is going to heavily affect the way that you can move that dumbbell or even reach down to the floor. And then that dumbbell snatch or X jump coupled with the core movement are going to heavily affect how well you can pull those knees up for those tall box jumps or those step ups that you have coming your way. So athletes are working on 60 sit-ups right here. If we need to take a quick rest during the set, we're welcome to kind of collect ourselves, take a nice deep breath and move through. The most important thing here is that set number 1 is going to be its own score, and I want you guys to focus on trying to maintain a pace in set number 1 that you will be able to maintain in set number 2 after the fatigue of our 60-30-10 that we have on these first movements. We've got Frank finishing up, confidently standing up and going to his X jump, no jump. David Lane knows that he needs to go ahead and pick up the pace just a little bit. No pressure, no competition here. We're all friends until somebody beats somebody in a workout, and then there's no talking for like a weekend, and then you bring flowers into the office and apologize to them, and then we're friends again until the next workout that we have. We got Frank going through, working on pushing those hips back. So I'm gonna challenge Frank to push his hips back a little bit more rather than squatting. So our X jump, no jump is a replica of our alternating dumbbell snatch. We just don't have a dumbbell in our hand, and we go up with both hands at the top. David's going through with his alternating dumbbell snatch. And if you've ever been to Nashville and you know they have that mechanical bull, it's the same form that you got there. That free hand can't touch your body, so keep that hand off the bull if you don't have the dumbbell in it. Dumbbell goes overhead, and David has practiced the transition in the air. We said in the warm-up, if you don't feel comfortable switching in the air, then you can put the dumbbell on the floor and switch there. But pick what you feel the most comfortable with, and we're focused on a nice, strong leg drive to send that dumbbell up. You're gonna feel a similar stimulus to what a kettlebell swing would feel like by popping those hips to put momentum behind that dumbbell overhead. We've got Frank moving into his box step-ups, and we're making sure that we're getting full extension here, and our reps of 10 mean it's 5 on each leg. The best part about this is that Frank is gonna finish before David gets to his box jumps, so it's full attention on David for these 30-inch box jumps that are coming up. If you guys are moving to a tall box jump, I cannot stress enough, these 2 movements that we did before are gonna heavily fatigue your hip flexors, so it's gonna be difficult to get those knees up. So we wanna make sure that we consider everything before we go into that jump, just like David did. When he comes down, he dismounts in a fashion that is gonna be a step down. You're welcome to put your feet or your hands on the box, or you can hop down. Choose what's gonna allow you to keep this same pacing throughout this. 30 inches is no joke. If you guys are doing 24 for female athletes, make sure that we are consciously putting all of our focus on each of those jumps. Frank finished up. He's got a 2-minute rest before he starts set number 2. David just hit his hand on the box. Don't do that because it does hurt. We're finishing up with these last ones, and we're gonna see a smile from David when he finishes that last rep and he's done. He's got his 2 minutes here. So these sets go fast. So I want you guys to make sure that during this time we're gonna move around. So if you wanna get down on the floor, hit a seal pose, do arm circles for me. I just want you to get yourself prepared, making sure that we are prepared to pace out our second set like we did for our first set. When we go into this, For our sit-ups, again, we're gonna have more fatigue than when we started out with, so if you need to take a quick break in order to get yourself collected and keep that pace, you're welcome to. We don't have to try to do the same set sizes that we did the first time. If we found that this was a little bit too intimidating, we can change our box height during this time, but we've got our athletes on our 2-minute rest, and then we're moving into it. I'm gonna have Frank hop down on the floor for me. Let's demo a seal pose. So get on your front for me, push up away from that floor, and get your core opened up. So during the rest time, don't just stand there with your hands on your hip like David Lane. I want you guys to be moving around, shake those arms out. If you want to go through that RDL movement that we went through to kind of get those hamstrings opened up, you're more than welcome to as well. If we found that the weight that we used on our dumbbell snatch was a little too easy, then we can increase. So if David wants to go up to, he just used the 50-pound dumbbell. If we want to go up to the 70-pound dumbbell, let's go ahead and swap that out really quick. Yeah, we can go. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. We are, just so no one's scared at home, we're switching to a 35 for David. And we got Frank off on these modified sit-ups again. I can't stress enough, modified sit-ups are really difficult because compared to an ab mat, we do get a point where we're kind of releasing the tension off our core when we sit up. Frank is under tension the whole time. Not emotional tension, it's just physical tension. But we're working on getting ourselves stronger here, but we wanna make sure that we do keep that neck in a good position because you will make yourself sore and it'll be tough to turn your head tomorrow if you keep that head forward. So keep it in a neutral position and focus on reaching for that same landmark that we picked in the beginning of the workout. When we come down, you do not have to do the negative portion, so you can go right back down, touch the head to the floor, and go through our next rep. We've got both athletes started. David is on to his regular ab mat sit-ups, making sure that those shoulders are getting past his hip crease. And again, we're trying to pace this out, so set 1 and set 2 are taking the same amount of time. David's moved up in weight on his dumbbell, and we know he's gonna give us the same time that he did for the second round, because he's an athlete. I mean, you saw these 30-inch box jumps. I would have fallen on the first one. We got Frank finishing up these modified, and I'm gonna challenge Frank here because you see that little jerky sit up? I wanna make it more smooth. So let's sit up and then right back down. So we wanna focus on engaging that core as we sit up versus trying to throw our hands and get into a position that we may not have complete control over the movement. Again, the modified sit-ups are no joke. When you guys are going through this, we're working on trying to get that engagement without doing the negative portion when we lay back down. As a reminder, we've got 60 of these sit-ups. Once we get done with this, we are moving into our X jumps with no jump and our alternating dumbbell snatch. David, how's your hand? Perfect. David's doing great. Doesn't even remember hitting his hand on the box. If you guys are following along with us at home and you're pacing with our athletes, let's see if you can pull ahead a little bit, but remember, whatever pace you apply here, you need to be able to maintain it. So I want you to be very, very cautious about rushing yourself on these tall box jumps at the end of this workout, because that is something, it's when you don't pay attention to the box, that's when the box is gonna pay attention to you and it's gonna try to trip you up. So we wanna make sure that we are mindful with each of those jumps that we perform. We got 120 sit-ups total in this workout, which you're gonna feel this a little bit tomorrow, but make sure that you do your cool down after this and hit that seal pose that we had Frank demonstrate during his rest time. We've got Frank going on to his X jumps with no jump, and he's doing a great job of going into that hip back variation versus trying to get too squatty with it. When we go down, it's the same way as if we were going for a deadlift or for a dumbbell snatch. We have to load the posterior chain. So I want to have hamstrings lighten up when we go down and making sure we're keeping that chest up. If you guys are going down into your X jumps and you're collapsing and you're giving me that turtle shell or that Halloween cat, that is no good for today. We need to make sure that our upper back is nice and engaged. We're keeping that chest up and then reaching as high as we possibly can. Because you know, one of my favorite sayings is reach for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Am I right, David? That's right, baby. So we're back onto our dumbbell snatch for David. It's a no rep on the first one because he had his hand on his leg, and he knows I'm gonna call him on each of those because he begged for this weight. And I was like, we can't put too much athleticism in this video, but we're gonna go through with the 35 and we're gonna see if David can keep the same pacing that he did with that lighter dumbbell that he had on the first set. We've got Frank going into the box step-ups, making sure that we're getting full extension at the top. Both feet make contact with the box, and then both feet make contact with the ground in between our reps. Frank is almost finished up. He's got a total of 10. And then once again, spotlight on David for these 30-inch box jumps. We joke about it. We do not ever want to see anyone get hurt. 30-inch box jumps are no joke. So I need to heavily stress that if you guys are following along with David right now, we have to make sure that we pay attention to each of those, because falling off a box is not fun for anyone. This was October of 2013. I still remember it vividly, and it still hurts sometimes. So it's more my pride than it is physical pain, but we don't want to see anybody falling on those boxes. So be safe and be mindful when we're going through those reps. David is slowly making his way to this box. He's contemplating his life choices up to this moment, and he's gonna give us 10 perfect reps all the way through. We got Frank over here getting my seal pose in. My man's doing it without me even telling him. We've got David showing good form with throwing those arms on those jumps and pulling those knees up. At this point, your core is smoked, and we have to make sure that we get those knees up. If you need to take an extra second in between reps, collect yourself and then go again, please do so. I'm more impressed with a few slower reps on this tall box jump than I am with a missed rep. So don't go so fast that you're causing yourself to break down and not focus on the proper things. David's really mindful of pulling those knees up, and we're throwing those hands with each one. This is the last thing that we have for today. So if you guys are in pace with David, let's see if you can keep a rep for every one of his, and we can see that fatigue setting in, but we're making sure those knees are coming up, and he's gonna give us a big smile and a thumbs up to the camera on our last rep, and that is it. So great job, athletes. Great job, Frank. David, great job. Very impressive with the 30-inch, and automatically going up in weight. Brings a tear to my eye because we got fitness going on here. We know you guys brought the fitness today. Thank you so much again for joining us. And remember, the cool down's coming up next, so do not skip out. Athletes, fantastic job on today's workout. We know that we had a lot of volume and we had some challenging movements with those high box jumps, but you guys delivered once again. Now, if you like today's workout and you're not a part of the Mayhem Athlete community, you should have joined 6 months ago. The workout that we had today is very much like everything that we have to offer, and we got workouts that are completely different from this. So whether your goals are bodybuilding, functional fitness, CrossFit, workouts on the road, workouts at home, workouts at your grandma's house or your in-laws' house, because you know you need to find a way to get some time cut out there, we've got workouts for you at Mayhem Athlete. We've got a like-minded group of athletes that will encourage you along your fitness journey, whether it's being a better version of yourself or making it all the way to the competition floor. So please join us today if you're not a part, and you will have a blast. Now, serious. This is always my serious portion. You need to do your cool down, which is listed here. So make sure that you stick around for a little bit longer and take care of your body, because it just took care of you in these step ups and these box jumps. As always, remember, be good, be kind, and join us again for another awesome day of fitness.